things, because in our reality, if we're all one
We're all
and
perfect.
we're all perfect, we've all been created perfectly, and as long as we can accept that perfection, we can experience it in these bodies.
Being a little devil's advocate here,
Okay.
it seems like there are a lot of people say, well, there's environmental influences, and there's so many toxins when you add up the chemtrails and the strontium and barium and aluminum, which are all heavy metals, and they're being distributed something like 6,000 times over the toxic levels, that according to the EPA, which isn't doing anything about it. But you look at all these, and then the scalar wave technology and the HARP and all these other things at play. It seems that they are playing with these frequencies and these energy patterns and things of that nature. So it's almost what came first, the chicken or the egg, But,
And too, James, that is all true, and it does affect all of the people. Unless we get beyond that, unless we can get our consciousness beyond this third dimension,
Belief.
beyond our belief.
Beyond the belief system. We have to get into the knowing system. There's a difference between beliefs, because they can be disbelieved just instantly. Somebody can come along and cause you to disbelieve it. But when you know what you're doing, you're tired, you're sleepy, you're hungry, those are things they can't take away from you, because they are known. And then it goes infinitum to more and more things. Once you realize you're free and one, and nothing can harm you unless you allow it. And that's what the system has done, is allowed the propaganda, the media, or the stuff to filter in, and they start buying into the beliefs that it's real. And actually none of it is real. It doesn't really exist, except when they create it by accepting it. But when you turn the tables and accept nothing but truth, nothing but love, nothing but who and what you are, and goodness is everywhere, nothing can penetrate that field unless you let it.
And it kind of goes on a little bit further than that, James, because we have to see beyond, like, each other. We can't see the mass consciousness being affected by the chemtrails. We have to look beyond that and see the perfection of the oneness of who we all are. So it gets pretty deep, but it's simple if we just start doing it, if we just start knowing it.
And if you have, let's say you have a group, that they're all together, and you have one person opening the door to this, a lot of this negative program or agenda, and then you have, one person, focusing on what they would like to see, like heaven on earth, and without these things. I think it's real important that you have some kind of group consensus, all that,
I understand what you're saying, and I do think I think that's the importance of all of us. You hear now many people are coming home, or we're becoming, our families are coming together because of, like, the this what you're doing right here with this radio program, and what we're doing on the internet. I mean, there is so much. We're coming collectively together in a conscious realization of oneness, and I know we've seen you on a couple of videos too, and
Yeah.
it's just wonderful that we are coming together and meeting many people that are in this wavelength. We have a lot of consciousness growing to do, and sharing with other people.
Well, it does seem like we're getting a lot of help, because the Mayans talk about the ninth wave that's moving through of unity consciousness, and I sure felt that when it went through, and it seems like it's our destiny to move into unity consciousness and start working in harmony with each other in nature, and those who are not aligning with that truth or that evolutionary process that's underway, let's say that the people that are holding the consciousness of separation and tyranny and greed are, all that seems to be accelerating.
Well, we in some of our talks we we plant seeds, of course, but one of the seeds that we plant is people have the idea that they're here to learn, hence the academic system that's grown and grown and grown, and keep people in a kind of a squirrel cage learning more and more and more of really things that aren't relative to who and what we are. And we just kind of plant the seed that we're not here to learn, we're here to remember. Remember who and what we are. We're not squirrels in a squirrel cage. We're not puppets. We're not robots. We're magnificent beings equated to God, and we have the power to stand up and be and say the things that we have been given the right to do by God, not by man.
Yeah, we seem to be caught in this matrix of social consciousness, and those who have the reins right now, are definitely trying to maintain this process or this program, and it seems to be falling apart, and I'm all for it. It needs to be it needs to fall apart and be transformed into something that has the individual freedom in it, and the right to experience a loving, joyous, abundant life, without all this other outer interference.
James, I had one question for you. With your contact with the Pleiadians and the Venus people or whoever, do you see that we're getting consciousness help from them at all? Are they like showering some positive consciousness to the Earth plane, or do you know that?
Yeah, they definitely are. They are working on so many levels in the unseen. People don't even know how much help we are getting, and they are working with. A good example is the Dome of the Rock. I don't know if you saw that video where the UFO popped in right over the Dome of the Rock and sat there, and it just completely lit up the whole area, charged it, and then took off. And I asked them what that was about, what they were doing, and they said that there's so much ancient pain and suffering and religion, and the old, the old ways are psychometrized into that area, and the Wailing Wall, the same thing happened there, that they are actually transforming that energy and getting rid of all that old psychometrized consciousness to allow for the shift to happen. So they're monitoring the entire Earth and the energies of the Earth and where these dense pockets are, and altering them through their spiritual technologies, and they're also altering the fields around humans and assisting them in the process. And the sun too, as well, is activating the DNA and opening up different DNA lines, which will move people into telepathy and direct knowing, and the old separation game is just coming to an end, and it's a natural evolutionary process of which they are participating in, and they're helping us to make this transition.
Well, the opposition now that we understand in our present state of mind is we are now welcoming what we once resisted. We're now welcoming them because we actually thank them for whatever they're trying to do to stop us. Then they tap our phones, and they've followed us around, and they've done things for years and trying to threaten us about speaking about things like this and so forth. But now we welcome them because they're just strengthening us. There's not really much they can do except threaten. And we have learned to just turn it around and be very grateful for the opportunity of them presenting their case. And we just ignore it and go on with what we're doing. We have now pods, what we call pods, little sectors all over the world. We have them in Sweden and Australia, Hawaii, everywhere, that are now waiting in the wings to produce some technologies that will overnight, within a year or two, change the entire global situations to be one of love and peace. But we have the opposition still not wanting to learn, not wanting to give way or invite us to participate. But it's only a matter of time till we're able to do that. And with the help of the Palladiums and whoever else is helping us now, we're going to get the job done here very quickly. I feel within the next couple of years that this whole thing is going to change.
Yeah, I'm getting the same information, definitely. We're in the middle of it right now, and in the next couple of years, there's going to be a complete turnaround. And it's a frequency and a force that no man can stop. I don't care what kind of technology they have or how big their armies are or anything. It's not going to matter because, they're up against something that is really them on a higher level.
Yes, they're really fighting with themselves and they don't realize it. That's the trump card.
Yeah. It's like this ego. It's like this ego is running amok here, and above that is this huge lion, and it thinks it's going to win the war, with a pea shooter.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not going to last. Yeah,
exactly.
It's not going to. I always tell them resistance is futile. The awakening process is going to happen, and the Earth is going to do her transition to the next level, and we have to match her frequencies if we're going to stay here.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, we feel very in tune with that. We're looking forward to meeting you someday and being able to, if you come down our way, you're always welcome here. If we come up your way, I hope the same is true.
Oh, definitely.
And
I would love for you to come up and see these ships. We just put I can send you a copy of what we just filmed just a few days ago.
I'd appreciate that.
Some of these ships look like suns.
Wow.
I mean, they're huge, and they come in, and just totally powered up and very, very big, and they'll come over the ranch and they'll power up, they'll light up, and it just expands, into a huge light, and then they'll make a turn and go off, and cruise off over the treetops in the back. And we've got hundreds of hours of footage of these craft, doing everything from bilocating into 3 different ships back to one again, and just crazy stuff. And we still have like the James Todd of the planetarium here. He's the head astrophysicist there or whatever, and he says, "Oh no, that's just the space station." This thing lands on Mount Adams. It lands. It morphs into 3, back to 1 again, about 6 or 7 times or more, and then takes off. And his explanation was that and same with the other scientists. They say we're just filming meteors and satellites and space stations.
Oh, really? Well.
Yeah. I have the footage that he was watching, and then I have his statement on video, actually with ABC News. And I asked the reporter at ABC. I said, "Didn't you kind of question that when he said it was a space shuttle, that the object was actually landed on the mountain and morphing from 1 to 3?" I said, "Wasn't that I said, "Why didn't you ask him about that or question him about that?" And he goes, "Oh, I didn't think about it. I was just getting his side of the story."
Oh boy. Well, there's so many things that when I used to live on Mount Rainier, and I got friends with my neighbors were rangers, and they opened the doors of secrecy about Mount Rainier. There were cavern systems and caves down in the mountain, and I remember this one incident where they told me they went into this huge cave down to a lake that was there, and there was a sort of a boat there, and they managed to get to the other side, and they went through these rooms where these giants were. They were 9 and 10 feet tall giants. They were bodies, but they were red-headed giants that were there, and then evidence of all kinds of drawings and everything that related to spaceships around the place. So You know, these, and I understand that there's something to do with giants where you're at as well.
Yeah, there's the people on there's an underground facility here too that has several races coming in and out, and they seem to be working with the other off-worlders as well. They have some type of a universal agreement or something, but yeah, there are some robed beings that are very, very tall. You know, I'd say 8 to 9 feet tall, and we have a lot of Bigfoot running around here too as well.
Wow. Well, we'd love to come up and see you and converse with some of the energy fields up there. That would be wonderful. Maybe.
Yeah, we don't watch TV here. Everybody's talking about TV shows and things like that, and I just look at them. Just say I don't have a clue because we threw our TV set out in about the 70s, early 70s. But we pull our lawn chairs up and sit outside and watch the UFOs, and they put a show on almost nightly. A couple nights ago, we saw about 50.
Wow.
And we just stopped. You know, every once in a while we'll get a dud night. You know, we'll only see about 2 or 3 high flyers up there. You know, and it's a slow night. But it depends on the people. You know, if you're working on the right side of the fence, you might say, and if you're service oriented, trying to help humanity, Earth, they seem to put on quite a show. You know, they acknowledge you being here. You know, we've had kahunas come here, and these ships would come in and power up for them and put on a little show, and they know, they'll scan the consciousness, they'll know who's here, and depending on the group consciousness depends on how low they come and what kind of a show they put on, and also whatever else they're doing at the time. They might be busy working on other projects on the Earth.
Well, I'm looking forward to the day then when Marsha and I can come up and see you and see